Today on Two Real Media, we're going to keep it real on why I believe Anthony A.R. Richardson needs one more year of college football at the University of Florida and not take his talents to the NFL just yet. But first, let's go back to the beginning. Mr. Anthony Richardson was a four-star prospect out of Eastside High School in Gainesville, Florida, class of 2020. Also in that very same year, he was ranked the number 9 quarterback in the country, as it meant a lot to him to commit to his hometown team, the University of Florida. That very same year, he entered his first year at the University of Florida as the third-string quarterback behind Emory Jones and Kyle Trask. He concluded his first year at the University of Florida throwing for 27 yards, 1 interception, and 1 touchdown, and he ran the ball 7 times for 61 yards. Entering his second year at the University of Florida, he was a backup to Emory Jones. Only played in 7 games this year due to injury. He passed for 529 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, also rushing for another 401 yards and 3 touchdowns, as he had big breakout games versus FAU and South Florida. In that game versus FAU, he had 160-yard rushing, 1 touchdown, and had a 73-yard run that electrified the college football world. And guys, I want to touch on that for a second. This is one of the games I actually saw and watched live, as I'm a lifelong Gator fan, so I watch all their games live. But after that run, I kind of saw that and I said, man, we've never seen a player like this in college football history, man. He's like a unicorn. He's 6'4", 235 pounds, built like a middle linebacker or a college defensive end. Moving on. That very next week against South Florida, he capped off an even bigger and electrifying performance where he threw the ball for 152 yards, 2 touchdowns, while rushing for 115 yards and another touchdown. And by this point, guys, like I was just mentioning, he kind of took over college football by this point. He was a talking point on most college football talk shows and all over YouTube. A lot of Gator fans had a lot of hope and promise for this guy, right? After completing his first start that very same year versus LSU, in a game in which he threw for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns, and also rushed for 37 yards and another touchdown, he was now officially anointed the future of Florida football. At the conclusion of this very same year, his head coach Dan Mullen was fired, and in comes Billy Napier, and in comes a new offensive scheme. Entering his 2022 year, there wasn't much expectations on Anthony Richardson far as the team, like his team success with the team, because everyone knew Florida had a new coach, they had some moving parts, and they weren't very good the year before. But individually, everyone assumed Anthony Richardson was going to have a big year this year. His first game against Utah, which was ranked number 7, he passed for 168 yards and rushed for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns, and it was a big-time upset win. And this kind of reignited the fire and the hype train on him. I mean, I saw some people had him in Heisman discussion. The whole world was pretty much just looking at Anthony Richardson after this point. That was a huge win. Nobody expected Florida to win, and he pulled it off, and he did it. That very next week against Kentucky, he had another big-time ranked game matchup. And I believe, guys, at this point, he let the pressure get to him, the outside stuff get to him. You saw him starting to press more. He was pressing more. He was trying to force throws and coverage. He was making bad reads, bad decisions. He was throwing the ball into tight windows, all that, right? And this goes to show you guys, sometimes blocking out Instagram and the outside noise is best for a young player, because once you start getting that pressure and that focus on you, you can start doing things that you don't normally do. And I feel like the theme of the 2022 year is he just need to calm down, relax, and just keep playing football. Keep doing what he's been doing. And another thing I want to say too, guys, we shouldn't have been so hard on him this year as far as expectations, because this is a new coach, it is a new system, and this is his first time starting. He hasn't played much, guys. His first year, he redshirted pretty much. His second year, he was hurt and missed 5 games, and he didn't start. He was a backup. People forget that. He was a backup last year. He didn't start. So this year was his first time as a full-time starter in a new system with a new coach. And you can see this year, guys, he was pretty much up and down. They concluded the year at 6-6. They had some bad losses against some good teams, which shows you that Florida as a team just isn't there yet with the elite programs. They're not there yet with Kentucky. They're not there yet with Tennessee. Now, this all can be changed in 1 year with good recruiting and good habits built within the team, far as practice, far as far as buy-in, far as effort, and things like that, guys. And you saw this year that he pretty much struggled early in the season. I mean, they almost lost to South Florida, a game in which he threw for 112 yards and rushed for 28 yards, and they won 31-28. And that was mainly because of the run game, guys. The run game carried this team a lot throughout this 2022 season, guys. Anthony Richardson was like a roller coaster. He was up, he was down. He was up, he was down. He was up, he was down. And then what made a lot of Florida games what made a lot of Florida fans a bit frustrated with Anthony Richardson was you'll see a game in which he threw for 400 yards against Tennessee, and then you'll turn around and see him have a bad game against Florida State in which he threw 9 for 27. That's what's so frustrating, is that he will play good. Like again, against Georgia, he threw for 270 yards, no interceptions. They didn't win because Georgia has a better team, but he flashed his greatness throughout the year. He had games and points in time in the year to where you'll be like, man, this guy should win the Heisman. I mean, he has that much ability. He should go number 1 over Bryce Young, over C.J. Stroud, over Will Levis, who I think is overrated. But this guy has a lot of ability, and this year he was just inconsistent, man. And I think coming back to Florida, playing for Billy Napier again in that system, which is, like I said, heavy emphasis on the run game, a lot of motion, a lot of moving parts, and it's tailor-made for success for a player like him. They're not asking him to go out there and run the ball 10, 15 times. They're not asking him to do that, guys. I know in the beginning of the year, they were trying to save his legs because Jack Miller was out. He was injured. That's the reason why you didn't see Anthony Richardson run the ball a lot this year. That they were trying to make him like he was Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or one of these pocket quarterbacks, right? And that's just not his game, guys. He got to mix it up. I mean, God gave him 6'4", 235, 4'4", 4'5", 40 for a reason. And you got to be able to use it. In the conclusion with this 2022 year, he finished the year 2,500 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, to go with 654 yards rushing and another 9 touchdowns. And guys, on the surface, that's about a little above average, guys. It's not bad stats. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not bad stats by a long shot. He had a pretty okay year. It just didn't result in wins. And another thing that was kind of alarming this year with Anthony Richardson was his decision making in big moments and big time spots in the game. I mean, throwing interceptions when the game is tied, the game is tight, it's in the fourth quarter, it's neck and neck. He threw a pick 6 and the Gators lost against Kentucky. Go watch that game, guys. It was tied late, 16-16. He threw a pick 6 late, and it kind of broke the game open, and they went to score a touchdown, and Kentucky scored, hit a field goal, and they wound up winning the game, guys. And that's the theme of this 2022 year, is that AR was just making bad decisions in big-time moments in big-time games, guys. And he did it over and over again. And he had inconsistent play over and over again. And I think coming back to Florida another year with polishing his game up, making better reads, processing Billy Napier's offense, and having a better team around him. Because one thing we know about Billy Buckets, he gonna recruit, he gonna build a great team at Florida. He has a great coaching staff around him. And like I said, guys, I'm not bashing the kid or knocking the kid. I just think if a kid like this go and take an NFL job before he's ready, he's gonna damage his career, right? Because he's gonna go in before he's not ready. He's gonna not start. He's probably gonna flop around to a couple of different teams. And he's never gonna be somewhere where he can develop, or he's not gonna go into the NFL with a better understanding on how to be consistent, on how to process the defenses, and how to use his overall ability consistently, guys. And that what makes quarterbacks like Tom Brady, Drew Brees of the world different from, the regular quarterbacks like the Kyle Ortons and those kind of quarterbacks, guys. It's the ability to be consistently great day in and day out. And I feel like coming back to Florida another year, Anthony A.R. Richardson can do just that. And he also can leave the university in a better spot, guys. Like I mentioned earlier, he's from the Gainesville area. He grew up a Gator fan. And I feel like leaving that team on a 6-6 record is something that's going to stick with him, guys. He got to be thinking about that, guys. Like, damn, I'm really going to leave my hometown school 6-6 and run off to the NFL before I'm ready. I don't think he's going to do that personally, but I'm just saying if he does, I wish him all the well. I wish him all the luck. And keep grinding. This is Tater Too Real, where we always keep it real. And holla at ya, boy.